Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome back to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. The campaign is Horror on the Orient Express. It is available from Chaosium. I'm the Keeper of the Secrets, and this is episode 29. Our recap will be given by Morgan Llewellyn as his character, Dr. Gabriel Neruda. So without any further delay, let's continue our journey into the darkness. Morgan?
My dearest Clara, it seems that there is no end to the stream of madness in which we are drowning. How many of these letters have I written in just the span of a few days? Some of those letters were merely dreams, of course. Though I really shouldn't be using the word merely. There are much more to dreams than I ever knew. Perhaps I'll tell you here that it is my intention to steal something hidden amid the long dead bones of Saint Isidoro from the altar in his chapel within this Basilica San Marco. What would the old family think of that? Just a few days ago, and I would never think of entering such a place at all, let alone taking something from it. But that feeling of damnation just tended to be overwhelming. But now, after the Gulf of Nodens, I feel lighter. The Basilica now feels like a surmountable obstacle. You'll never be reading this letter, of course, Clara. I shall burn it as soon as I am done. Not only would the black shirts discovering it bring much suffering to myself and my companions, it will also not make any sense to you at all, I'm afraid. And I've already given you plenty to worry about in the letters I've already sent. There's nothing wrong, then, if I mention here that a man was impaled 10 feet up on an iron fence around a glass factory. That image will never haunt you. Nor will you know that it is just like the fate of Faccia, the man who stole the voice of Caterina Cavallaro and tapped away her youth and beauty. So, too, will you never know that the dead man on the iron fence had a fiancée who gnawed her own tongue off, screaming all the while that the devil killed her husband-to-be. And best of all, you won't know that I believe her. Something, I'm afraid, has followed us from Milan. Something aside from the magician's newfound chest rash and coughing fits brought about by that damnable simulacrum. I wonder, shall I cease walking after I remove the leg from that altar? The notes of Captain Dubois, found by your thorough and astute research assistant Giorgio, mentioned that his daughter was afflicted with some paralysis in the leg after he confiscated it from the soldier Jean Bocce, joining the rest of the Venetians in that same malady. They wanted to kill Jean for witchcraft, but placing the leg of the simulacra to rest with the saint who lost all his skin being dragged for the Romans was not only fitting, but also put an end to this plague of paralysis. If my leg does go bad, maybe my companions can find me a bicycle to wheel me around on. We also took an uncatalogued book from the Bibliothèque Marciana, an account from the Crusades that mentions the simulacrum. Giorgio not only pointed us in the right direction to locate the text, he also turned a blind eye to our permanent and unsanctioned loan of the book. And now we have but to wait until nightfall, in which case the leg will be leaving the Basilica and coming with us on the train. But, so I'm left with a series of questions. 1, if there is a God, why does he hate us so? How could he allow for the statue of the skinless one to even exist? 2, does the soul of Saint Isidoro smile when he thinks that part of the skinless one has joined him in his entombment? Anyway, with much love, Gabriel. P.S. After I light my pipe with this burning page, I intend to enjoy it.
Very nice. So it's late afternoon, early evening. I would like you to do a group luck roll.
Mine's at 56, so if anyone's got lower than that.
I have 57.
52, is that the lowest?
Yep.
That's it.
51.
Ah, very nice.
Very lucky.
So as the evening goes on, I'll ask you two questions. What is it that you were going to do at the beginning, late afternoon? And when are you planning on trying to do something? If you're waiting around until the crowd begins to thin out in the plaza, it doesn't really do that until maybe 10 or 11 p.m. People eat late dinners.
Yeah, I'm interested if it is somewhat crowded in the square. This is not bad for us, but I would like perhaps to see the activity in the basilica slow down so we can comfortably find this side chapel to ourselves.
Well, the tour groups stop in the afternoon, but there are people going into the church to pray, to light candles and stuff like that. Probably also around 11 is when people will all go to bed.
Is there an evening mass on Friday?
No, I don't think so.
So I think, sometime when perhaps we can admire the basilica and watch to see when it thins out. It should not be hard. It is not a significant tourist site, this Isidoro.
Correct. All right. So we'll say, since you passed your luck, we'll say around 10 p.m. So did you want to do anything before that? Just stand around for hours and hours?
I guess maybe have a light meal.
Did we have something that once we have the leg that we can store it in, sort of how we're storing the torso in my trunk, or do we need to acquire?
That is something. Yeah. What did you guys do about your broken trunk?
That's right. Yeah.
I wanted to, since it seems we might be leaving soon, I doubt I could get a locksmith to replace this broken lock. So I'll go see if go shopping for some luggage to replace it.
Okay. That's all I need to know. You're going to put it in another trunk. Yeah. Sturdier trunk, harder trunk to open, more expensive.
Yeah, probably a little bit. I mean, if the sturdier trunk with a better lock is more expensive, then yeah, more expensive trunk. But yeah.
So you currently have 2 pieces. What do you do with the third piece? Do you put it with one of the other pieces? Do you put it in the third trunk?
I'll maybe get I'll also go shopping and pick up a real sturdy canvas duffel bag that I could put it in and then put it in my trunk.
Okay.
So we can each volunteer our trunks.
We should think it would be, based on the other limbs, probably 3 feet and a little, if it is proportional.
Probably about 3 feet.
So it might have to be a bit diagonal in some trunks, but we're traveling with some luggage, so.
You can also consider in the future, you're going to have more body parts.
Yeah, I mean, maybe like a empty cello case, because like moving the cello around wouldn't be unheard of in Europe, in Southern Europe.
Yeah. All right. As long as you've got that all in mind, what you're going to do. All right. The evening comes, and have you rely on some luck rolls to see if you are spotted along the way, but we'll do that when the time comes. So describe your plan for me. How are you going to do this? Where are you going to be? When you are in the chapel, you can't see out. And when you're outside the chapel, you can see in the doorway, but the chapel goes that way.
Mm-hmm.
The altar's all the way at the end. The door is on the far end, not facing.
So what we could do, I will go, if somebody will help me move the lid off the reliquary in there, the relic box. And then if the others want to go out into the hallway and position themselves, kind of just lounging, but they could see if anybody's coming.
Look out, and then distraction if anyone gets close.
Yeah, I could be a distractor. I'm not the strongest, so like maybe helping you lift that.
Yeah, I think perhaps Thursby is the one to be inside with the muscle. We loiter around the chapel until there's no tourist, and then 3 of us stay outside and 2 of us make the extraction, yeah? Slips the leg under your coat and we disperse towards the exits.
Okay. Light source. What are you going to use? There's candles, but the candles by that time will probably be out in that chapel. It'll be pitch dark.
Could have a couple small torches or like flashlights.
Sure. All right. So around 10 o'clock, there's very few people. There's still a few people praying in the, but it's a big church, so they're not really near where you are. If people walk in the door, they're walking up towards the altar, up in the front of the big church, and they're looking around. So once again, they're not going in the dark little archways going to the chapels. Some of you position yourselves outside, and Dr. Gabriel and Thursby are going inside. You go inside. It's yes.
I also want to get a sizable amount of lira. I want to be able to do a quick bribe, like maybe a couple thousand lira in bills.
Yeah, that's cool. That's not a lot of money. I mean, that's a lot for bribe,
there and then. But for me, no.
All right. So the 2 of you go inside the chapel. There's dim light coming through that one high up window that I failed to mention. The chapel is fairly dark. The candles, if there are any candles lit, they're votive candles, and they're right down at the bottom. So they're just slightly flickering light. You turn on your torches and point them towards the altar. Now the altar sets in front. There are a number of things on that. There's a cross, and there's some candlesticks, and then the reliquary sets behind that. Do a spot hidden as you come up towards it.
$66 is a failure. But I could spend some luck.
Well, how did Thursby do?
Oh, Thursby, I'm sorry. I get to do, look at this. Ho, ho, ho. Here comes my 55 or less. And there's a 64. So that's a fail.
Okay.
Wait. 9 points.
Don't spend any luck.
Okay.
As you go in, you realize that the sarcophagus is rather heavy. And it looks like a marble top. So it's going to take some effort. You're not quite sure how to do it. You might need to take the things off the altar in order to not knock them off the altar when you are trying to get to St. Isidora's reliquary.
Okay, so I'll get to work at removing my half and putting them gently down on the ground.
Okay.
Like whatever, there's 3-4 items on my half. Just put that quietly on the ground right there, just quickly.
You notice as you're doing that there is a little bit of wiggle room around behind the reliquary. So imagine that it's a rectangular marble box, but it's in a semicircular area. So you can sort of squeeze in behind it, but you have to kind of lean forward because the dome comes up.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of room back there. Those of you standing outside, I would like you to do a luck roll. I guess a group luck.
Oh, I'd be Roland again.
Yeah, not as good. 71 is 20 more than 51.
Okay. So as you are there, there seems to be a couple of maybe late night tourists or so forth that are kind of circumambulating the interior of the church. They're coming in your direction.
As they start kind of headed my way, I'm going to take advantage of this nasty cough I've developed and just start hacking and kind of giving the fear of, oh, this guy's here because he's sick. And exactly, just like that.
That is effective. They hear you coughing and they just sort of turn away without being rude, but yeah, they don't want to catch a cold. And so that sort of saves them from going in the chapel. All right, Dr. Gabriel and Dr. Theodore. Yes.
Very quickly, I forgot the couple thousand lira for bribes. If it's okay, I would have handed it to the people running interference for us, because that was the whole point. So
sure.
Whoever, I don't know, Dorian or Dr. Kerr. Yeah, okay, yeah, Dorian. Here's a couple thousand.
Okay. Thank you, my friend. Okay.
We never saw Dorian again.
Oh, God.
All right.
I have plenty of money.
So, Dr. Neruda and Theodore, you guys are on the sides of the reliquary.
Yeah.
Do strength rolls.
All right. Ooh, wow, that's
51
a critical.
is a pass.
This is, I think, an extreme. 1 second. Oh, darn, it's so close to an extreme. It's hard.
Okay.
If an extreme would help, I could just bump it.
It doesn't matter. So you get a hold of the lid, and you're not sure whether you're going to have to lift it or whether it's hinged, but you find that the back of the reliquary doesn't lift. The front of it does, and you feel that it's probably hinged on something. It's pitch black behind the reliquary, so
I run my fingers down where I think the hinge would be, because I want to make sure it's hinged. I don't want this suppose it's hinged and it's just stuck, and then it's going to fall down really quickly and make a huge noise.
Okay. You, in fact, do feel hinges back
Okay.
there.
Bingo.
They seem to be sunk into the stone itself.
Fascinating.
So you begin to lift it. There is, oddly enough, an interesting smell that comes from the reliquary. It smells kind of like rose blossom, not rose, orange blossoms. Very citrusy sort of smell. But you open it up. You can also see that as it opens, it hits the top of the dome, and you can't flip it all the way back. You have to actually hold it open. If you let go, it's just going to slam shut.
You hold it. Yeah.
I got it. Dr. Neruda.
Okay. Dr. Neruda, you're going to...
Gonna look inside.
Okay.
Is it here?
You shine your torch inside, and there is a red velvet sort of bedding, if you will, and the relics of the saint, which are somewhat desiccated, but mostly bones at this point, are laid out on top of the red velvet. You don't see any porcelain-looking leg. You don't see the step card, but there is a letter in an envelope that is laying on top of the body with a seal on it.
I will take that and open it.
I'm going to open it right there. You can. You open it. It has writing in Italian inside of it.
Here, it's not here, but shut that. Let's go.
Are you? Did you check underneath the red velvet?
It's pretty close to the bottom of the.
Yeah,
it's just laying on the.
The Sedefkar leg's not going to fit in whatever's remaining of this box.
Oh, okay.
It's
All right.
gone.
All right.
And Dr. Naruda, do a luck roll.
11. Is it good?
Okay. When you opened that letter, the seal crumbled, but it landed in your hand.
Hmm.
So you still have the seal in your hand as you guys put the reliquary back into place and you exit St. Isidoro's chapel and come back to the others.
Wasn't there, but let's go back to the hotel room. There was something else in there.
Okay. Sounds good. Oh, damn this cough.
All right. So you make your way back to the hotel room and you get there. You check your hand. The seal itself is a little, it's a piece of red wax, sealing wax. And there is some sort of stamp that was stamped into it. You'll have to kind of piece it together to see what it is. But you have the letter. It is written in Italian.
I'm fluent in Italian. Well, I mean, I like rudimentary.
Okay. So Theodore, you unwrap the envelope or the letter, and this is what you read.
Holy Saint Isidoro, you who endured such torture, help me. Pray that God forgive me. There are so few resources, and I have a great need of what you can provide. So I took it with much trembling and sense of sacrilege, that I, a true Venetian, should violate our most sacred place. Yet surely some needs stand above all others. Is not love the greatest excuse? My friend was weeping and begging for help. His figure was damaged, and I had no material to repair it, for this cursed war makes everything scarce. I remembered the old story at last. What else could I do? I owed him so much. His grandson died on Mont Grappa, alongside my own dear Marco, and his figures are the only things that comfort him. Let this be my witness that I do not do this for personal gain, but for love. San Isidoro, have mercy and forgive me. Beg God to forgive me. God knows that I only seek to do my best.
Theodore, that Italian, was it, you know how English changes, was it an older Italian or do you think is more recently?
It's Venetian Italian,
Okay.
but it's fairly modern.
I am
Okay.
just literate in Italian.
Right. So
piecing the seal back together, or trying to, because maybe it was a family
You think
seal.
at first that it is a little cherub angel, and then you realize that it's a shield, and there is a cherub angel on the top of it, and the little tiny cherub angel seems to be holding a little person in his hands. It's very strange looking. It means nothing to you.
I think maybe a family crest of some kind.
I wonder if we maybe brought it to the attention of our library assistant.
Yeah. But I was thinking, so the whoever took the artifact from there, he was taking it for someone else's figures. Is that what you gathered?
His figure was damaged. Does that mean his leg was damaged? Was a statue was damaged?
Yeah.
It's so.
I mean,
so bizarre.
I mean, I wonder. Yeah, very bizarre. But there were a couple hints in that letter that maybe we could cross-reference to figure out who that had been. If they kept records, if Mont Grappa was a battle in the Great War, maybe they kept records of the death, because we know a Marco died there who was his son, and we could find the family name and see if kind of maybe narrow it down that way.
Marco is a pretty common name.
It is, but
in the city of St. Mark.
I don't know how large of a battle Mount Grappa was, so.
Mm-hmm.
But then,
Does in seeing a lot of the statues and stuff, the decorations of Venice, does that little cherub holding that configuration strike any recollections, or?
Mm-mm.
No, huh.
I mean, you're right. It's probably a family crest, but
the city of Venice is very rich in insignia. Many artisans and not so many literal persons. They have all kinds of images on the bridges and the walls and everything. It is possible that Giorgio can find us even a lexicon of family symbols.
Yeah, that would be a very good idea. Yeah, for Venetian heraldry.
And it seems strange. He's retrieving it for his friends who has a damaged figure. But also the symbol is a cherub holding a figure as if he had his own simulacrum. There are too many representations of people here to make me comfortable. The age of the paper and the seal, does it suggest that it's been there, dry conditions in the dark for 10 years, 20, 30.
Anthropology?
A chemistry question?
I suppose if you wanted to try to chemically analyze it.
Even
However, you do have the reference to the Mount Grappa.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. So that might also be a knowledge roll about, is that the First World War or an Italian conflict?
Is this a history roll? Needing
Sure, it would really be an Italian history roll or a Venetian history roll.
So maybe with an extreme success in history.
Sure.
I can tell you this, there are no mountains in Venice.
Well, 32 is almost a hard success, but it's not an extreme, so I do not know.
It would no, anthropology was no. Darn, I've got a really good anthropology.
So I have an extreme success for chemistry. I take a little hook and my loop and I scratch at the wax and I see, this is oxidized. The inside color is this scarlet and the outside is this scarlet. It's in the dark. So.
And you got what? You got an extreme?
Yeah, I got a 5.
All right. I'll say that you're guessing that there's not enough oxidation. It's probably no more than 20, 30 years at the most. Maybe less.
Yeah, so we're dealing with people who might still be alive at least, which is what we can hope for.
Yeah.
It's as though the writer knew that they could take something other than the bones.
They knew it was here. The old stories. I wonder if a Venetian family passed down the story of what happened.
Possibly.
The figure who entombed the limb would keep it a secret, but perhaps some family had a brother in the priesthood. They must look at these things once in a while, open them, or maybe a saint day or something. Maybe it was discovered by one of the clerics decades after it was interred here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's getting close to midnight. We're probably not going to have anything we can do. Maybe we ought to just get some rest.
Yeah, we'll have Giorgio get to work. He's been very efficient for us.
Yeah, he has.
Have we already done the switcheroo with the limbs?
Yeah.
Okay.
You've got the torso.
So I'll be sleeping next to that thing for the first time. We'll see.
Oh, put it in your closet. Don't sleep next to it. Just...
Next to it in a relative sense.
Yeah, snuggle in.
The opposite of a hot water bottle.
And how about Dorian? Are you going to keep the arm, or are you going to have somebody else keep the arm?
I think I was letting Theodore keep the arm.
Yeah, I'll keep the arm.
Briefly.
And Dorian, the couple thousand lira back, you didn't.
Oh, Theodore, I am afraid I have sadly lost it. No, I'm only joking, my friend. Here you go. I wouldn't do that to you. I'm an honest man.
So Roland has the torso. Okay. I would like everyone to do power rolls.
Oh, scheiße.
Oh, surprise! A 94.
Oh, no. Oh, shit. No, you cannot see because it is 000.
Nice. Ouch.
No.
What'd you get, Gunter?
I got a 77 out of 65 fail.
Okay.
I got
Regular.
extreme success.
Regular for me.
And how'd you do, Theodore?
94 out of 65.
Well, we're
Oh,
really
you're very
good,
close
right?
to me.
Yeah.
Theodore, as you lay in bed at night, you find it difficult to get to sleep. You're very restless. And at some point in the night, you hear, probably through the walls, some of your friends moving around. Dr. Roland and Dr. Gabriel, you also have a bit of a rough night, but you sleep a little bit better. At least you do to Roland. Gunter and Dorian, you are not sleeping well at all. It's like you've got an itch that is not being scratched, and it's Dorian, it's your arm, and Gunter, it's your chest. But something you don't feel right. You don't feel right at all. So much so that you get up a couple times and you pace around. And Gunter, you find yourself walking to the wall. Are you guys in 3 rooms, 2 rooms? I forget. Are you all in your own rooms?
I thought we were all in our own room.
Yeah, we're all in our own rooms.
Gunter, you keep walking to the wall and pressing yourself up against it, the wall that Roland is on the other side of. And Dorian, you also kind of keep gravitating towards the wall that Theodore is on the other side of. Just like you can't get it out of your mind that that you don't have the arm, the torso. You can't seem to go to sleep without them. You can try, but you won't succeed. So it's up to you what you do.
Broke the wall for a while.
I was going to say that, Roland, you can hear, it sounds like somebody rubbing up against the wall, and it's Gunter.
I will rub against the wall, maybe even knock on the wall a little bit. So Theodore will hit a knock.
I am going to walk over to Roland's room and just knock on the door.
Who is?
It is Hair Block.
Yeah, is there trouble?
Yeah, just been troubled recently, and I was used to sharing a room with Dr. Edison, and without him here, I'm having trouble sleeping. I was just wondering if maybe I could rest on your couch.
I see no reason. Hold on, because the chain, of course, is on the door. We have had. So I put my little dressing gown on and look through the peephole, and there's Block. So come in.
Thank you.
I'm afraid I don't have anything to offer you. I would have picked up a bottle of something for late night. It has been a little restless also.
Oh, that's okay. I just I guess I got used to Dr. York's breathing and just knowing someone was around, and having my own room has now made it tough.
Yeah, I don't snore. I think I've heard York through the wall more than once.
Oh yes. Well, I'll just take the couch, and if the couch is near the closet, I'm going to purposely lay down so my head's nearest the closet.
And that seems to work. Your anxiety seems to fade away a little bit.
I am a little different to Block, but I will let Kurz finish before.
I think there's some bedclothes in the trunk at the end of the bed there. So
Okay.
I will peer into the hallway and close the door again, making sure that everything is normal.
I actually knock on the wall for a bit, and then I run out frantically to Theodore's door, knock on his door. Theodore.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I go to the door. I look through the peephole. Dorian?
Theodore, please let me in.
Okay. Oh, come on. So I unbolt the door and come in. And I close the door.
Theodore, I hug Theodore. Theodore, I have had a horrible nightmare.
Oh, yeah, I've been a little bit restless with the sleep tonight myself, but come in. Sit down. Take a load off.
Yes, Theodore. This sounds like a strange request, but we've been friends, so I'm just going to sleep in your room.
Yes,
I have
certainly.
to come rest.
Of course. Now these are troubling times, and I get it. Sometimes it gets under our skin, and yeah, you need rest. Get it anyway.
Theodore, do a spot hidden for me.
Okay, sure. It's there's a 0, and that's a 20. No, that's a 70. Oh no, I fail. Nope.
Theodore, out of character. Theodore, where have you put the arm? Where is the arm?
Oh, yeah, it's in a duffel bag, and then inside my primary chest.
Where's your chest?
In the closet area.
Okay. I'm gonna be a little weirder than Gunter. I'm gonna sleep on the floor, and I'm going to maybe be half under the bed if the closet's close to the bed or wherever, and I'm going to snuggle up close to the closet. Not even a pillow or a blanket, just.
Dorian, do a luck roll.
No, fuck. No, that's a fail. That's an 8.
Okay. So you're hunkering down like a cat on the floor, getting ready to curl up and go to sleep. And as soon as you put your weight on your arm, you realize that you are laying on your left arm, and it suddenly gives you a sharp pain. Which, Theodore, you see him wince.
Dorian, what are you doing down there? Why don't you at least take the chaise lounge if you don't want to be in the bed?
I much prefer the floor, Theodore, but I just need to readjust myself. I'm having issues. It is fine. You go to sleep, Theodore. I will be perfectly fine. I will sit up for a few minutes, and then I will go back to sleep. I might then grab a pillow or whatever and put it by. But I'm staying on the floor.
Your anxiety is gone now that you're near where it is. All right. Other than that, you guys finally sleep through the night. You're a little creeped out, but all right. Next morning comes, and you guys are going to have some breakfast. Anything you want to discuss or plans to make?
Neruda, you look very well rested, Neruda. I guess you had no visitors in the night.
That would be a negative. Did you?
Yeah, Herr Bloch is lonely without Dr. York.
Oh, yeah. Dorian came and stayed the night too with me. I get it, though. I mean, we've had some unsettling events recently. Affects everyone differently.
Yeah, so the experiment of moving the things around, I guess, shows that they are causing more than physical difficulties. Mm.
Oh, well. Oh, I don't know about you, but I'm rested after once I was able to go to sleep. I did very well, slept very well.
Just watching you on that couch all night gave me a pain in my neck.
The floor was very comfortable, Theodore. Very comfortable indeed.
I'm glad it was for you. It didn't look too comfortable, but...
Oh, it was very comfortable, Theodore. You should try it tonight. Sleep on the floor. It was fantastic.
So we get, I think we should get to the library as quickly as possible and get Giorgio on this seal.
Yeah.
Library probably doesn't open for about an hour, but
Okay, get a quick breakfast.
yeah, you guys are downstairs in the cafe.
Of course, get the morning paper.
Okay, Gunter, you pick up the morning paper and you start to look through it, and you find two interesting articles.
Well, gentlemen, seems like tragedy does follow us. Look at this article. A gondolier murdered. Police have informed the public that another terrifying murder has occurred. Paulo Rizzo, a gondolier, was found torn to pieces in his boat, obviously the work of an insane maniac. It appears that the man's heart had been ripped from his body as well as other internal organs. There are speculations that this murder may be tied to the one near the Murano glass factory. Some of the evening's merrymakers claim to have seen death poling a gondola down the Grand Canal. Yeah. Then has the Black Death returned? Local officials are concerned with the rising of the tides and the possible introduction of dark, stagnant waters into the various rios that surround our homes and businesses. Foul tide waters have crept into low-lying houses and two churches. Several children who played in the water are now ill with black blotches spreading across their bodies. People are talking of the Black Plague, which ravaged Venice twice in the 15th century. Has it returned?
Yeah, that's very disturbing, especially with the murder. Torn to pieces.
Notice also that the facial expressions of some of the other patrons, it's almost as if they're talking about something, something that they saw or something that they heard happened last night. But it's murmurs, so you'd have to pass a listen roll and Italian listen roll.
Okay, yeah, I've got Italian, so do a little. Do I do a combined roll or?
No, you can just do one or the other.
Oh,
if you have Italian, you could do a listen roll.
Yes.
Okay, all right, that's good. So I'll do a listen.
Okay, I will also do.
Oh, hey, look, I actually passed 30 out of 50.
Thank God you passed, because I failed.
What you hear somebody say is, I tell you it's the truth. I saw it with my own eyes. The statue of the Virgin was weeping. It was weeping blood.
And I'll just immediately inform everybody of that there.
And there seem to be other people saying something similar, that one of the statues in the palazzo was weeping blood last night.
If there, can I identify who? Could I just sort of step on by and
Sure.
in Italian, buongiorno. Pardon me, I've just overheard. I've heard a couple other people mentioning something similar. Where was this? This is truly fascinating.
In front of St. Mark's, the statue on the left-hand side of the Virgin Mary was weeping blood.
My goodness.
This can either be, well, this is probably a good sign. It's a blessing from the Virgin, but it could also be a bad sign. Something bad is coming.
Yeah, I was reading in the newspaper just recently of a terrible deed that had happened. I wonder if that's...
There's a lot of darkness stirring in the city. Murders and the Black Death.
This is terrible. When did this sort of thing start happening? Is this just in the last weeks, or has this been going on for months?
Just in the last few days.
Oh my, so this is really fresh upon us. I bet you the statue of the Virgin Mary has something to do with this. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Wonderful day to you. Now I relay that there to the... It's bizarre.
So it was at the St. Mark's in the plaza?
Yeah.
The word?
The one on
where
the
you
left.
guys were last night.
Yeah, that's what. Okay. Well, perhaps we should swing by and see this miracle for ourselves.
Good. Weird things seem to follow us after all. Or do we merely follow the weird things?
Are we the are we the symptom or the cause?
At least I would say we are, in chemistry, we'd call us a catalyst. If this limb was stolen 10 years ago or more, and yet only when we arrive does it stir up the black blotches on the flesh, it makes me wonder. Perhaps even the limb is activated by being near the other limbs that seem to have such ill effect.
That would make a lot of sense.
I'm wondering if the statue of the Virgin Mary is human sized. I wonder if, interesting to see the legs of that statue.
I think the Virgin Mary usually is not sculpted with legs visible.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
So the Virgin can dancer is a different matter.
Wow.
I wish that perhaps we at the library we can get newspapers of better quality. These stories are sensational but very unspecific. The heart was ripped out of the gondolier, but is the heart missing? And who was it who saw death pulling itself down the canal in a gondola? And in what neighborhood are children getting black splotches? There's more missing from these articles than there's contained in them. Oh, I could use a little more coffee, and then maybe we see the Blessed Virgin on the way to see dear Giorgio.
Yes, that sounds like the better plan.
If she still weeps blood, there'll be a crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
Historically, these events usually mean that the stone that the statue was sculpted from contained iron elements that were poorly understood, and there was a drainage issue that caused the apparent blood. It's a statue outside St. Mark's all these years has been rained on for hundreds of years. It would not be a new phenomenon.
All right, so you have your coffee. Everything is nearby. So what's your first line of, where are you going first?
I want to go to the statue.
Okay. You leave your hotel. You walk along the side of the canal, the Grand Canal. You come to the plaza and you walk around. There's what you'd expect: people walking about. You once again can smell the nasty smell of the water. It smells even worse than it did yesterday. And it's got kind of a black, oily film on it that's not very pleasant either. You head into the plaza and you head towards St. Mark's, and there are, of course, lots of statues and things like that. You walk back and forth. You see the statue, probably more than one of the Virgin Mary in different places, but you don't see any evidence of blood, or there's no crowding around. There's no bunch of people pointing and whispering.
The people you spoke to, Theodore, were they tourists or locals, or?
They seemed like locals.
Yeah. They definitely had the sort of the Venetian Italian sound.
Oh.
They also didn't seem like rich, sophisticated types. I mean, they were, wealthy enough to be eating and drinking in a nice cafe, but they didn't look like rich tourists or anything.
Well, let's go see Giorgio, and I think afterward I will see if I can carefully take a couple of samples of the water back to the hotel room and give them a little analysis to see if there's anything I can recognize.
Okay.
Chemically.
So you get some samples of water. Remember that for later when you get back. You head on over to the library. It takes you a little bit of time, but you eventually find Giorgio. He says, "Oh, good morning, gentlemen. I'm afraid I've run kind of dry on our looking for information. So far, I found nothing else.
Well, we do have some new items that would be helpful for you to look up. We're looking for a heraldry of Venetian families. If there's a record kept of that.
Well, I'm sure there's a book. Sure. Any particular family?
Well, that's what we're trying to figure out, is what family this design is, and I kind of describe the cherub.
You describe it.
Unless we
cherub on a shield holding a doll.
Yes.
Everybody in Venice knows who that is. That's the Gramansi family. They're doll manufacturers, or at least they were doll manufacturers back in the day. Everybody who was anybody who had money had a doll for their kids that was Gramansi, a little China doll.
They still live in the city?
Oh, I don't know. I imagine they do. I don't think they probably make dolls anymore. But
that's too bad, Mike.
I mean, they're pretty famous. You could probably find. We can find all sorts of information in the library here about them. He leads you sort of down an aisle and looks through some records, and he comes up with some information for you. And he says that let's see, in the 19th century, the Gramansi, I don't know if it's pronounced Gramansi or Gramansi, Gremanci, Gramansi family. They made special orders. They made singing birds and other automata. They made their craft was renowned. They were accused of witchcraft because their little mechanical figurines were so lifelike that people superstitious people believed that they must have used witchcraft to build them. They then began producing dolls in the 18th century, and the invading French were so impressed that the Gramansi artisans became very wealthy. The French bought gifts for their children and mistresses. Their dolls were very fashionable in Paris, and every Parisian nursery had one. But now these sort of dolls have sort of fallen out of fashion. They remain popular as tourist souvenirs, and most little girls had one, or until recently. In 1630, he finds a certain Alvis de Gramansi was investigated by the secretive and terrible Council of Ten after an anonymous letter was dropped in the Boca di Leon, the lion's mouth, accusing him of making dolls in the image of their political enemies and burning them so that their enemies would die in terrible pain. However, the Council of Ten decreed that there was no truth in the accusation.
Oh, an old and storied family.
Nothing on the family after the Battle of Monte Grappa.
The current Gramansi family has been reduced in size after the war, and they have turned their entire business into a sort of veterans relief organization, and they specialize in creating artificial limbs.
Artificial. Bingo.
Dun, dun, dun.
You were serious, right? You're not messing with us.
No, that's exactly what.
Oh, okay. I thought this is just too good to be. This is like perfect.
Well, let's go knock an old veteran down and take his artificial leg.
I can't imagine that a leg like that is bringing him much relief.
No problem.
They still do make dolls, but they don't. They have a very limited number of dolls they manufacture.
I inquire about the address of the veterans organization.
It's on the Campo della Bambino in the Cannaregio district.
Of course.
The family was once very aristocratic, but now they are quite, most of their fortunes long gone.
The family palazzo is on the Campo Bambino?
Yeah.
Or is that is the factory or?
The factory and the home is the same thing.
Okay.
There are only, well, maybe it wouldn't say that, but he probably can come up that there's probably only two of them left. They're in the book Antonio and Sebastiano Gramansi.
Oh, good.
But,
another pair of brothers. The last time we met some brothers, it went very nicely for us.
Yes.
Antonio Sebastiano Gramansi. Perhaps, is there, by any chance, Giorgio, do we know if these brothers are young men or older?
I don't know. Probably father and son.
Oh, could be father and son, yeah.
While we're at the library, are there any more reputable papers, newspapers that I can just quickly skim to see if they have any corroborating articles from what we read earlier?
You do, but they don't have any more information than the others have. Oh, let's see.
Now, did the letter mention the name of the friend?
We could ask Giorgio for an account of Monte Grappa, just for general impression, and possibly there'll be a personnel list. But this movement toward veterans assistance seems significant, obviously.
Yeah.
Would we know of, like, I mean, it was sort of a pretty big battle that raged on. Would we know vaguely of it?
Well, you already did a roll on it, but now that you're at the library, I'm pretty sure it's in here. I'm pretty sure it's World War One.
It was.
Yeah.
And it's big.
The Italians lost like 30,000 people at that battle. So
Yeah.
It's over
George-
a few days.
Giorgio, a complete list of those who died at Monte Grappa, please. We'll wait.
yeah.
Arranged alphabetically by their mother's maiden name.
Giorgio, you are a native of the city, yes?
See, yes.
Now, Mr. Thursby heard some other locals this morning talking about a miracle of the Virgin in Campo San Marco, with the statue weeping blood. Is this every week around here, or is this unusual?
Well, I'd say it's a bit unusual, but every once in a while, quite honestly, I think when the Catholics need more church attendance and more donations, they make this stuff up. But I'm not particularly religious anymore, but I was raised Catholic. My family, we still go to the Catholic festivals and things like that. I've never seen anything like that happen.
And the newspaper also had a piece about children playing in the water and getting disease, but certainly Venetian children know not to splash around in the canal water, yes? It's full of everything.
Well, some of them are a little bit less hygienic than others, but yeah, I wouldn't go in the water.
The newspaper suggested it was like Black Plague, but of course the plague was of buboes. It wasn't splotches. It's very specific.
Newspaper people aren't entirely the best researched people in the world. What were you going to do next? We're going to head to the
The location that the veterans,
doll factory.
the veterans limb replacement, because they got into that after the war.
Yes, perhaps we should consider a story before we show up on the Gramansi family campo and ask for a tour. Or maybe we ask for a tour.
Yeah.
We have a couple of veterans among us, no?
Yeah, I served on the other side, but
Yeah, many limbs lost there as well. Perhaps, in fact, they could use contact if they're expanding that industry.
Yeah.
Okay. So you head across, I don't know exactly where it is in Venice, but you're heading over towards where the factory is on the Campo della Bambino. The Gramansi factory is made out of stone. It was built in the 14th century. It's got a fairly well-maintained facade, and on the corner of it takes up most of the block, but on the corner there is a cafe, and as you look inside, there are a lot of university students that are, having coffee and chit-chatting and drinking and so forth. Then there's like a little sort of interior courtyard where you that is in the center of where the factory is. And as you get there, there are quite a few people who look like they're down on their luck. They're all injured in some way. Some of them have missing limbs. Some of them are obviously poor. They don't have money. Some of them are playing chess. They're all smoking and, have their coffees, and they're sitting there. It looks like they are probably homeless or near homeless. And they're all old. They're all look like they're probably from World War One, the Great War.
The Great War. There's gonna be a second.
So no, they're not all very old, but some of them are older than others.
Yeah, because that ended just 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
But they're all men. Yeah, they're all possibly
They're all men.
veterans.
Right. All right. So as you go, you have to kind of move to the center of the complex and then into that courtyard. And you can see the crest on the building itself, the one that looked like the same as the mark on the envelope. What do you guys want to do?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Go on, Hebloch.
I was gonna say, do we just want to go in and see if like they have a front office or
Yeah,
I
there's
think,
windows all around, and then there's a door.
If we like the idea that Hebloch, you are interested in providing limbs for veterans in Germany, then either Thorsby or Dabrowski could represent you in this endeavor.
Yeah.
I perhaps, since we are so many, perhaps, Nerula, we should talk to the young people at the cafe and see what they think about what's going on. I'm curious also if we think that the limb is inside this facility, if that is what is tainting the water around these parts. And if I take a sample here, perhaps it would be different than the sample I took by San Marco.
Certainly like the idea of taking a water sample closer to this place. It's the use of the word figure that gets me hung up in a sense. Because I mean, how could any person function being in such close contact with that damn thing all the time? Using it as a limb yourself, like that's...
They seem to have unpredictable effects, however, you recall.
It's true.
A prosthetic limb would be jointed and offer some mobility, as opposed to what we've seen from like the arm doesn't. It's just a statue piece. It's not articulated at all.
Yes, but normal statue pieces also don't change their appearance either.
Yeah.
Or seem to shrink and grow in size. Who knows what
Yeah, good point.
such a thing could do.
I have a nightmare image of them using the Sedefka limb to make a mold from and reproducing it. And then some of the attributes of the Sedefka are reproduced in what they hand out to the innocent veterans. They could have any attributes that we would not understand.
So did you want to go into the cafe then?
I'm heading into the cafe with Roland, while the other three go in and try to pass talk their way through.
The cafe is the Cafe Gamba Sinistra. That's the name of it. And it's quite lively. It doesn't actually say in here, but it sounds like the university is not too far from here because it says university students are in there mostly. So let's see where we are. Oh, you guys are.
So I have a smidgen of Italian, by the way. So I will go to university students and say, "Excuse me, my Italian, I'm Swiss, is not so good. We will find the one that we can talk to."
Okay.
So we can send the better Italian speakers into the factory.
Okay. So what did you want to ask the students or say?
Well, first of all, I can't get enough Venetian coffee, so there's that. And then we maybe take us. Is it? It's cooler out, so we can't sit by a window and look at the factory as easily.
Right, you're actually on the corner of the same rectangle of the complex. So, yeah, it would be literally behind you and in the through the walls.
I think perhaps we'll each get cafe, and then I will sit down with Neruda instead of trying my Italian. We will speak in English together, and I will say, I have taken several samples now of the canal water, so hopefully we can isolate where this disease is originating from, if it is a disease. But the newspapers and their idea that it's plague are very strange. It could be something much more frightening.
Yes, I mean, the plague has certain markers. It's not just splotches. You think it'd have a far easier time diagnosing it if it really was bubonic plague.
Yeah, and treating it also.
One of the students overhears you and he says, "No, it's not bubonic plague. It's just something filthy in the water."
Well, of course, you agree.
Are you familiar with this? We've only read about it in the paper. We haven't actually seen it.
I know what the bubonic plague is. You know, that's rats and mice and fleas that transmit that. In this case, it's just nasty, stagnant water that the sewage goes into the water here. It's full of bacteria and all sorts of nastiness. And nobody goes into that.
No, but clearly, there are many diseases associated with waste and so on that don't cause black splotches. Is it local to an area? The newspapers are very unspecific.
I don't know. The newspapers don't always say everything. Sometimes they keep secrets and they don't want anybody to know.
Yeah, well, I had a suspicion it might be local to this area. Is that something you agree with, or?
Well, to this area in particular? Yeah. I don't know. I think they're just talking about somewhere in the city or all over the city, or this time of the year it smells very bad.
Is it normal how bad it is this year?
I don't know. Sometimes once in a while, but this is pretty bad right now. There's probably something clogging a canal or backing up the natural flow of the water through the canals that's causing it to stagnate.
What are you studying here?
I'm studying law.
Are you a local, or did you travel to Venice to study?
No, I live here. Yeah, I'm a local. Not all of us are locals. Some people have traveled here. It's a beautiful city.
It's magnificent. It's unique on the earth. The business on the other side of the Campo is most unusual, is it not?
The doll factory?
Yeah.
Well, it's been here forever.
Does it have any sort of reputation?
I mean, they've always had a good reputation, but it's kind of sad now. I think they've had family tragedies, and there's only a couple of them left. I think father and son, wife and daughter died in influenza, and other sons died during the war, and older ones passed away, and nobody will marry Sebastiano because he's heavily scarred and has an artificial leg. Not particularly marrying type.
Yeah, well, the many people, of course, after the war have false limbs. Is his unusual in some way?
Not really. It's well made. I mean, I don't really know. I don't know the man that well. But the father, Antonio, he's a very generous man. I think he's pretty much given away all of their family fortune on helping these poor sods. And he sort of points out, the people sitting around. Nobody takes care of them. They're all war veterans. And
I understand you should be careful what you say, young man. If the black shirts were to hear you complain about the way the veterans are cared for.
Black shirts, we have watch-outs for the black shirts. We like to have our political discussions in this cafe. And black shirts, we don't want them around.
Well, it's a good thing to know. If we have to have a conversation that we don't want here to be heard, perhaps we return here.
Yeah. Are you a communist?
Herr Neruda has an answer.
You do notice that there's a bit of communist indication around the room.
Yeah, I will say I was I had the chance to speak with some of the union workers in Milan. I always like to do what I can to help support the socialist cause.
Good.
I mean, the capitalists are going to get us all killed, don't you think?
Fascists
Look what they did the last time.
The fascist party here is insane.
Yes,
In a few years, they're going to be following Hitler around. Mussolini does things for the city, but it's all propaganda, You're foreigners. We like foreigners. They don't like foreigners. The fascists.
Yeah, we have noticed that they watch us a bit.
Yeah, you've got to be careful of the black shirts. Don't go down any alleys where the black shirts are hanging out, because they, when you give thugs power, they will abuse that power and they'll get away with it because they're the ones in charge. They're all a bunch of criminals, if you ask me. Military criminals.
Yes, but as long as they give the public their boogeyman to fear, then they're, as long as the public is scared of fictional crime, the real criminals can get away with it, eh?
I like you. And so you kind of make yourself some friends while you're in there. Meanwhile, you guys make your way to the entrance to the doll factory. I keep calling it that because that's what's emblazoned all over everything, but everybody knows they're doing artificial limbs now. You go in the front, and it's a small room. There's a desk, and there is a little setting room next to it, like a waiting room.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a man behind the counter, and he's chatting with somebody, an old fellow who looks like he's obviously a war veteran. And after he finishes discussion with that guy, he turns to you and he says, "Can I help you?" He says it in Italian. "Can I help you?"
Yes, you can. I am interested in helping for my friend here, Mr. Block. He suffered numerous injuries in the Great War.
Oh, did you?
And
Yeah.
Yes, most of which have healed, but his leg, it's the doctors don't think it's good, and we heard that you have been in dealing with limbs, making limbs.
Well,
I
we do
couldn't think of a
artificial
word.
limbs.
Out of character, I couldn't think of the bloody word.
If do you have an artificial limb now, or
He
No,
does not.
no, but and then obviously with Dorian translating, no, but I took some shrapnel into the limb, but I'm not looking for an artificial limb for me, but more of I'm from Germany, and of course, our government is not taking care of our veterans, and I'm looking for maybe someone that I could work with, and to take care of some of the veterans up there, and all. I mean, I have a connection with them being injured in the war and everything, and
well, I'm afraid it's mostly just me now. My father's getting too old. I don't know if we can assist something like that. It sounds like a big operation you're talking about.
Oh, well, I mean, I understand that you wouldn't be able to do a full operation, but just maybe if I could have some artisan, I'm not the person that would do the work, but some artisans that could maybe learn from you, maybe as apprentices, and then we could go up there and maybe help you out even, with some of the work.
Maybe we could work something like that out. I don't know. We'd have to discuss it. We'd have to, have it over discussion of what you'd like. Like right now, it's the middle of the morning.
Perhaps a lunch, lunch meeting.
Yes.
I don't really go out for lunch, but I mean, you're the representative of this company?
Yes, I am.
Oh, well, and you see him sort of hobble over to the side, and he yells back and he says, "Papa, I'm going to take a break." And you hear kind of a from the other room, and he says, "Let's step outside. We can smoke."
Oh, excellent! Yes.
Sounds like a plan.
So he comes around the corner. He's got a cane, which he leans on, but you can see that he has an artificial leg. Looks like it's made out of wood.
Right.
But it's articulated, so it bends at the knee. And he hobbles with you outside. There's like a bench. There's places where people are sitting around. There's a big tree that's there that everybody's sort of sitting underneath. So you say you're from Germany?
Yes, Berlin originally. I've moved to the New World after the war, and that's where I met my translators.
Oh, the United States.
Yes. So has your family always been in the prosthetic business?
Oh no. That's something we kind of switched to after the war. My father, his father, we lost a lot of people in the war, and so veterans with their needs, those who needed legs, there was a need, and people weren't buying dolls so much anymore for their kids, so we just adapted. No, we've been doing that for a while now.
Okay. Was there again, I'm not being an artisan, but was there a original piece that you kind of based it on that you were able to find a lot of success with?
Oh, I don't know really. My grandfather would have been doing that. He's the one who came up with doing this. I was in the war. That's how I lost my leg.
Oh,
That's how I got these scars. My brother was killed.
I'm sorry to hear.
And Grandpa died a couple of years ago. Grandpa Marco.
Oh, Grandpa
away a
Marco.
couple of years ago. And my father was just heartbroken. All of the difficulties. He lost one son and ended up with this.
You're still here, and
I'm the last of us. So once I'm gone, that's it.
But don't give up. You don't give up hope. Always, there's someone for everyone, and all. It's hard to lose a brother. I lost one also. So you say you guys started doing this after the war, so.
Right. I was in the decisive battle of Monte Grappa.
Oh, in the Alps.
On the terrible mountain, they call it. It's all a problem with the fascists and everything else.
Oh well, I mean the government of Germany is not doing the best. Our money is becoming more and more worthless by the day, which is another reason why it's maybe looking to move it down here. It seems to be a little bit more stable. But
so you drink?
Yes, I do enjoy a beer or sometimes something stronger. A sweet vermouth is my go-to if it's not a brewed out beverage.
I got something. And he goes back inside and comes out a minute later with a bottle. He says, here, tell me what you think of that. He says, one war veteran to another. And he's warming up to you.
Yeah, I give it a nice smell and a sip, Like, oh, it's quite good.
Yeah, it's something they make around here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's quite good.
Is it
and
wine
he starts it's like a whiskey.
Okay.
He's it's rat poison. He starts chewing the fat with you. Reminiscing about the war, about the horrible things that he saw. What do you want to do?
Just sitting chatting with him, and I of course introduced my associates here, Theodore and Dorian.
I have a question. For more out of intrigue than anything. As you are in the making limbs and stuff, what was your first prototype like?
I have no idea. That would have been my grandfather.
Yeah.
When he started this, I was, like I say, I was in the war fighting. Yeah. So was my father. So
must be a very interesting process.
Well, we already do dolls.
Yes.
And the idea is just on a larger scale. And way back when, we also used to do what do you call them? Automata, people, rich princes and things with little birds and other things and clocks that did stuff and all of that. But so we kind of had the experience in the family of how you would create an artificial.
It's interesting. It's always interested me. I'm a man of I'm an alienist of sorts, if you would, when I'm not translating for people these days. But I was wondering if we could get a look at the process, maybe where it's made.
Sure.
It's just fascinating.
I can show you around. It's pretty simple.
Thank you.
So you guys get up.
Mhm.
You guys go into the factory, and he starts to show you around. He takes you back into the clerk's room. There's filing cabinets. There's a desk. There's, looks like record books and things like that. You go out through that into another room. You can see through a door at that point. There is an older gentleman sitting in a desk. He seems to be writing in a ledger. You go into the next room, and it's what he calls the finishing room. It's where they are polishing wood and making sure there's no splinters or anything like that. There's the shaping room where they are using various tools to shape the wood and sand it down into the right shape and so forth. And there's measuring devices all over the wall. And at that point, you're also starting to see some remnants of doll stuff. There are doll heads and doll limbs and stuff hanging. And then he just sort of motions towards another door, and he says, we still do dolls occasionally on special orders, but that's that room.
Any near life-size dolls, out of curiosity?
No, I don't think we've done anything like that. Not since, long before I was born.
Mm-hmm.
Out of curiosity, I represent some of the investors.
Oh, wait, you're here now.
Oh,
Yeah, he was always with us.
Yeah, I was always.
Oh, you were always with us. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh, no worries. I represent some of the investors, some of the money behind developing some of this that Mr. Block was speaking of. And we have a particular interest in any sort of development of prosthetics, I guess initially focused with legs, that would not be made out of wood, maybe some other types of materials. And we'd be willing to invest significant amounts of money if into this sort of research. And we were wondering, had View tried anything other than wood, or might you have something you might have dabbled in or tried?
When you say that, he sort of perks up, He says, the family fortune's very nearly gone, and we do want to continue this work because we are helping people. We wouldn't have used anything but wood. Wood is very strong material to use for artificial limbs. Now, when we did dolls, we did porcelain, and we did things like that and other figures, but you're not putting any weight, It would be a terrible thing to have a porcelain leg and then suddenly it shatters on you. And, but there are other materials that are ceramic that might be stronger and lighter. We are always willing to investigate those and work with them. But we don't have the kind of backing or money that we can do research and into artificial stuff. Almost everything that we do is based on family tradition, what we've done for so long. If we have questions about our processes that we have forgotten, there's always ledgers, there's books, there's things that, my grandfather, my great-great-grandfather, and going back have kept pretty strict records on.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever I assume you take your family have taken notes on each of the designs of limbs and legs per se that you
Pretty much everything, yes.
has any of them ever created one that has been engraved? Nice engravings, unusual markings, you know.
I don't know. That's a good question. I'd have to look through records, to the old ledgers and stuff like that.
I find it very fascinating.
No, I suppose if somebody wanted something special like that, we could probably do it. We could do it. Sure, we could do it.
Yeah.
Given the amount of money that we'd need, we could do it. Sure.
Yeah, if
Somebody want a solid gold leg? It would be very heavy.
Yeah, I would just like to. As I said, I'm fascinated by this process, so it'd be interesting to see if there's been any unusual designs that maybe your grandfather tried something new, and it'd be cool to see. Be interesting. I wouldn't say cool. That is not what Dorian would say. Interesting is what he would say.
Oh, well, I mean, I can show you some of the patterns and things like that. Not, I'm not in the habit of, doing a tour. I don't even know where to start, but he sort of ramshackles it. Here's these things and here's these patterns and here's how you change the shape if the person. We do measurements beforehand. We want to make sure it fits and all that. But you're getting a lot of technical stuff about how to do artificial limbs. By now, Roland, our Roland and Kurz, Dr. Kurz and Dr. Neruda, are you going to come around the corner and join them are you going to stay at the cafe?
Given that the square is full of people waiting for limbs and we do not know where our friends are exactly, I don't think we're going to just barge in and say, take us to our friends.
Well, people aren't like waiting for limbs, but they're hanging out because they have no other place to hang out.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't know where they are. We could try our entrance. I think maybe we are making sure that we are listening. Maybe we go to the square with a cigarette or a pipe and listen for gunshots from the factory.
Okay.
I will
Seems reasonable.
keep an eye on the canal waters.
And while we're making the artificial limbs, we like to fire these guns off occasionally.
Scares the birds away.
Anyways, he gives you a tour. He's kind of befriended you.
Ask if I could meet his father, because he said it was his father's idea. I'd like to just,
He says, yeah. He says, sure.
Yeah.
So he takes you and opens up the door to his father's office. Antonio Gramansi is an elderly, thin, vague, dusty-looking man. He doesn't speak any English, just pure Italian. At first he looks at you quizzically like, who are these people? And Sebastian says to him, well, they might be people who might be willing to use our expertise to craft artificial limbs in Germany for others. And Antonio then perks up. Money. And he gives you more or less kind of the same story, that he lost his family. And that he doesn't have many years left. And
right. Oh, well. And you came up with the idea when you lost your your son, which I'm terribly sorry to hear about, and everything.
Well, at the time, I was also in the military, and it was my father, Marco, who started converting the business over. He died a few years ago. Himself plagued with a lot of pain and difficulty, arthritis.
Oh, did he work with some friends, family friends, or anything?
Yeah, family friends. we had more members of the family here then, but now they've all passed away.
Well, it's had to see. Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's. I can't remember. I appreciate. Hey, just mean that it is your father Marco that came up with the idea and everything. Wonder, I'm not new, but we're very interested in this and all. We're always interested in helping out the suffering and all. Saint Isidoro is one of the saints that I kind of relate to, and his suffering. I kind of want to.
Well, San Isidoro from the church, one of many martyrs.
Yes. Yeah, so I need to go visit his remains.
Why him in particular?
Just the battle I was in, I saw some men get drug, and it was when the nurse she talked about how he had that. It just connected to me in a moment of shell shock when I was trying to.
I think there's a chapel to him there. Yes.
Okay. I was hoping for a reaction.
Yeah, you don't see any particular reaction.
Okay. All right.
I don't suppose, Antonio, but I asked your son, but you might know if you've ever come across any peculiar requests or any peculiar designs that your father might have made when you started out this business. It kind of said this intrigues me.
You mean artificial limbs?
Yes, just.
I don't think so. I mean,
or maybe have you seen someone else's design, a different artificial limb made by someone else that stood out? Do you know anyone else?
No, I don't know anybody like that. I mean, before then it was mostly dolls and repair work and
yeah.
Fair enough.
You repair like artwork, like maybe old statues and everything?
Well, I mean, there are museum pieces and so forth that are still on display of automata and clocks and things like that occasionally need repair. But my father was the last one to really know how to do that sort of stuff. We haven't been doing that stuff in my lifetime.
Oh,
at least not that I recall.
A personal thing for me, as you're on about your father was more into repairing that kind of stuff. Do you suppose that you have any of his documents with what he may have repaired?
I'm sure everything is documented. Although
I could have a look at. I'm kind of interested in statue repairs and things like that. I'm a very cultural man, and I like to learn more about cultures.
I'm not sure why. They're just records.
No, I'm just trying to figure out if anyone had come across something. I heard from another source.
Do you have something in mind that you're looking for? That seems
I do
rather
indeed.
specific.
I do indeed. I am, unlike my friends here who are genuinely here to offer support in your business. I also heard about your father's repair procedures before, and I'm looking for a missing limb, I guess, per se, an engraved from a statue. And I was just wondering if very unusual engravings, wondering if your father might have repaired it's of interest to me. I am writing a journal on a variety of unusual statues.
I'm not sure that he would do anything with the statue. Statues are usually marble carved or something like that. I don't know. And Antonio turns to Sebastian and says, I really don't have time for this. And Sebastian's like, thank you, Father. He says, come out here.
Thank you.
And he says, look, the business day has just sort of begun. If you want to come back this afternoon, we can look through and see what my grandfather was up to.
Oh, okay.
That would be of use for me, and especially for my journal writing.
I'll bring the beverage this time. So
Cool.
As a payback.
He probably doesn't say cool. I say cool.
Right.
All right. So he shows you out. He's become very, hands-on.
Mm-hmm.
But then you notice that he's got that sort of streak in him with all of the people who are war veterans. He has a brotherhood with you. But eventually you guys leave and you head over to the cafe and meet up with the others.
Well, they didn't turn it into an artificial limb.
No, and we didn't spark any reactions from them. I dropped a few hints, but they are going to let us look at their records. So maybe something might come up.
All we have found is communist sympathizers. Seem like a nice bunch.
Well, it's good to have friends, I guess.
Yeah, I would like to take these samples back to the hotel and attempt to figure out if I can isolate any compounds in them. Also, we have had quite a few coffees.
Indeed.
All right. So you guys are on your way back to your hotel.
The note in the church was in handwriting.
It's in handwriting.
And do we, in what we've seen, was there anything that sort of matched that handwriting? Did we catch anything like any particular like J's or the way they crossed the T's?
I think by the fact that the letter referenced the dead son Marco, and it's the family seal. I think it's safe to say the letter was written by the father, by Antonio.
Good, or maybe
They were both in the war. It would have been
the grandfather Marco, and it might have been his father that wrote it.
Well, the brother who died in the war.
Yeah, we didn't get his name. That's true. Mm-hmm.
Because it's the family seal, and the person mentions having lost his son in the war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thought.
Yeah, I think that was it. Yeah,
it's consistent with the age of things as well.
Well, we can see, getting a look at their records, we might come across something. We'll have to be careful, but maybe Gunther, you can keep Sebastian occupied.
Oh yes. We'll talk about that and all. You had me worried there, Dorian. You thought I was going to have to pretend I was missing a leg.
Yes, don't worry. I had it's just like my arm. I had a sudden bout of a mania, maybe, but I don't know. It clouded my judgment and what was coming out. Verbal diarrhea, almost.
all right. Well, why don't we call it there?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to check my records just to make sure I didn't make a mistake. But I'll do that in a second. Our players included Marco Llewellyn, David Gassaway, Stuart Lively, Keith Craig, and Josh Harwood, with yours truly as the Keeper of the Secrets. We have a Discord server where you can chat with our other members, you can set up private games, and you can learn the finer arts of gameplay and game mastering. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. If you'd like to help support our show, please visit our Patreon account. Just $1 or $2 a month helps us a lot. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch the bell icon for updates on our latest shows, and leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answering any questions you might have. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck and good gaming.